State Senator Rich Alloway. I'm here with Lauren Peters, the owner of the Butcher Block in Biglerville. And the Butcher Block is one of our proud partners in the Hunters Sharing the Harvest. And we came here today to sort of take a look at what all goes on from the time a deer comes in and where it ends up and how it gets to our food bank. So, Lauren, welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us here.
Thanks for coming down.
Lauren, tell us a little bit about the Butcher Block.
We're a small independent store. We specialize in meat, seafood, and poultry. Everything's fresh. We do the deer processing, which is about 2 months a year, and we joined up with Hunters Sharing the Harvest several years back. It's been a good program. The hunters donate the deer, or a portion of the deer. We process them. Everything gets processed into 1-pound bags, gets quick frozen, and it goes out to the shelters and displays to whoever needs the product.
Now, how long have you been with Hunters Sharing the Harvest?
I believe this is our third or fourth year, and it's a good program. Like I said, the hunters don't need to donate the whole deer. They can donate half or a part of a deer, and we have actually not charged to do any of that processing.
And you do full processing of any type of wild game or even domestic beef, pork?
Exactly.
And it's all done here on site?
It's all on site. You're welcome to stop back, and we'll show you back here a little bit how we handle the product when it comes in and how it gets processed. But yeah, we've had thousands of pounds in the last couple of years went to the homeless, so it's a good program.
Wonderful. Okay,
good program.
Let's go take a look.
Okay. Basically, the deer get backed up here, the pickups get backed up, the hunters bring them in here, we hook to them. You want to hold one of this. I don't have a deer here right this moment, but I can put a hook in here and then pull you up. Basically, the deer gets skunned here, hosed down, washed up, and there's another rack on wheels we bring out here. They all get hung. If they were brought in this morning, they get hung for a day to get cooled down, cleaned up, and then we further process them the next day. And for the Hunters Sharing the Harvest, like I said, all the deer that they bring in need to be completely boned out for burger only. We don't do any further processing to them, and that's what I'm going to show you next, and how we grind it and stuff it. Basically, it's a mixer grinder. It holds about 300 pounds, and everything gets brought in here after it's boned out. It gets dumped in here, and this has a rotating arm cylinder that rotates the meat as it's being ground, so everything gets mixed properly.
Okay.
So once you get that loaded up, it has a foot pedal. You stick your foot in the end there, now inside here.
Oh, okay, in the inside.
Go ahead and run it out.
Kind of like making good legislation.
Yeah, grinding it up and mixing it.
There it is, baby. There's the end product.
Well, actually, we got one more step.
Okay.
Everything gets gone through twice.
Oh, you grind double ground. Okay.
Should be good there.
Okay. So you grind it once and then you just
Always
take that
grind
and
it twice,
dump it right back in.
And usually we'll let it mix for a little bit too before it starts the grinding process, but this was already mixed before it went in. So.
Okay.
Now when you run this out, this will be the finished product ready to go in the bag.
Okay, so same thing?
Same thing. You see how the fat mixtures?
Yeah, yeah.
Back in the olden days, they just had hand-fed grinders. When you ran it through, if you had a fatty spot in the meat, that's what you got in the burger.
Yeah.
This is actually mixing it and grinding at the same time. This is the processing room here, actually, where we do bone the deer out. We bring them in here in a rack. This is the process we skipped here because we didn't have the deer, but this is the processing room.
So when the deer comes in, You process it in here. You take the bones out, take off
Everything.
and any of the stuff that's not good.
Right, and then goes into the
edible.
lugs.
Yep.
Then goes back into the grinder, which we just did.
Yep.
And this is a 150-pound hydraulic stuffer.
Okay.
The deer meat goes in the top.
Yep.
Once again, they used to use hand crank jobs. I remember doing that.
Yeah. Has this been a family business for how long?
This little place here we've only had for 6 years, but I started out in the kill floor when I was 11.
Yeah.
And went from the kill floor to retail and then grocery stores, and then I worked for Fleming for 13 years.
So you've done it all.
Yeah, I've been around a little
All
bit.
right.
I'm only 25.
Wow.
So then we have these fancy bags that were made up by Hunters Sharing the Harvest.
Yeah, get a good shot of that. So those are the official Hunters Sharing the Harvest venison burger bag.
Now it has a little air in the tube right now, so basically all that happens is you put the bag on, put your hand back here.
Yep.
There's a lever right here you hit with your knee.
It's like filling up a balloon.
Okay, go ahead. Then once that gets done, you just twist it. And there's your finished product. This has already been frozen, and this is fresh.
Okay. This on like
Just
that.
hold it in the back of your right.
Right there.
Whoa.
I went a little over.
Yeah, the trick. You want to stop about as soon as you feel get to the end of your hand.
Okay.
Just taking.
Okay.
Here,
Try it
give
again.
another shot.
I gotta get this right. Okay, so we put the bag on. Hold the bag right there.
Wow.
Wow.
There you go, man. Great
Beautiful.
job.
Okay, and then take it, twist it,
Right.
and how's it go in?
Just up through the top and down.
Just take it down through.
Right. That there's about a 2-pound bag. So that's a lot, you know, for a family making a meal. Pop it out of the freezer, they don't have a lot to do.
Yeah. Make your burgers or make your meatloaf right from that, and beautiful. That is outstanding. And then, so what happens next? So then you take these, once they're all filled up, then you
They get packed in them plastic totes. They go back into a 20-degree below freezer, and they get frozen up. And then John's people come around and distribute the meat to wherever they want to go with it.
Okay. And now you also do other things. I mean, so basically you do the whole deer processing.
Right. We started out from the skinning to the cut and grind, cut, wrap, and freeze, grind, and any of the bolognas that need made.
So you can do it all here.
We basically do everything.
And this is a USDA inspected facility,
Yes,
and
yeah, we have the state here and everything, but that's deer's venison in that are not involved in that, so that's a good thing.
Yeah.
So we also have the retail, so that's why we're inspected.
okay.
So,
Any tips that you have for hunters, you know, whenever they're after they've made the kill out in the field, that helps make the back end of this process smoother?
to try to get the internals out as soon as you can, especially when we have this warm weather, and cleanly try to do it as clean as you can. And if you're not going to skin a deer, I would recommend getting into a shop as soon as you can, especially in this warm weather. The old myth of people hauling deer around for 2 and 3 days with a hide on, I'm totally against that.
Yeah,
so either skin it yourself, bring it in here, we'll do it for you. If you can get it to a local, if not me or anyone else, just get it there the day you kill it and get that hide off of it, because we've had some warm weather and that membrane between the hide and the meat is not good.
Okay, so it's really important to make sure the deer has been handled properly. And again, you know, as a hunter myself, I mean, that's the first thing we do is we get the entrails out, get it as clean as possible, get it hanging so that it cools down, and take the hide off of it. That's the most important thing.
Exactly. If you get that done, you're going to have a better finished product. I mean, it's your family that's eating it.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't want to buy a piece of meat that's laid around in the hide for
That's
a while.
right.
So
That's right. Okay,
I try to stress that.
Okay, so hunters can drop their deer off here if they don't want to have the meat. We also have mistake kills from the Game Commission. Other municipalities have programs where they pick up deer, whether they're injured or whatever, and they can all bring them here. And this meat then all ends up at our local food banks.
Exactly.
I think that's the important thing everyone needs to know.
That's the key, right?
Yeah.
And Hunters Sharing the Harvest, like I said, they're the ones that's been the backbone. They furnish me with the bags. They furnish me with advertisements, the banners, the stickers. And last year, actually, for the hunter that donated a deer, John, you can remember it was $15. They got a gift certificate for Gander Mountain. So, I mean, it's not like they did it for nothing.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. So, and anyone that wants to be a part of this process, we'd encourage them to do so.
Right.
And again, this helps feed a lot of hungry people around the state. A lot of hunters have a misunderstanding of how much meat you actually end up with from a live kill weight. So, why don't you tell us what you have here?
This is something the Game Commission did a really fine job of. It gives you 3 weights, and you can probably go on their website and find it. It gives you the first column here is the live weight of the deer. That's the deer standing in the field living. For a prime example, if you have a 105-pound deer, the live weight, and you go to get it processed and you bring it in, once you remove, they call it hog, which is dressed, 105 pounds, you remove the head, the entrails, and the guts, and take everything off of it, you're down to 70-pound animal hanging on the rail. So that's your deer right there at 70 pound, hanging on the rail. Now once we take the further step and we completely bone that deer out, just in the hamburger you're down to 42 pound. So you can lose up to 50% of the body weight of a deer just in processing. And a lot of people don't understand that when they bring a deer in, and it's good to know. That way if they're getting blown or something else made, they say put the whole deer in to beef sticks or pepper sticks, you know, they don't want 50 pound that when they come in. So it's just a good little chart.
Yeah, that's a nice chart. I know all the time, you know, I process my own deer, but that's something that you learn is you realize how much meat that you actually get out of a
It's a lot lighter when they were when you drug it out.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Well, Lauren, thank you so much for having us to your store, and we really appreciate it. As a fellow hunter, I want to thank you for all that you do. Hunters Sharing the Harvest is an extremely important program for our state. People don't realize how many thousands of pounds of deer meat that we actually send out to the food banks that feed hungry people. It's high quality protein. There's no additives to it. There's no synthetics, no hormones. It's good stuff. Things that we hunters have been knowing and saying for years.
Right. It's a great program. Like I said, we're going to support it as long as I can. And as long as the program's here, I'll be with it. I think other states should take and think about jumping on the bandwagon. I was just out west 2 weeks ago, and actually killed an animal and wanted to donate it because I didn't want to pay to ship it back. They had no program. So I found a homeless family on my own from a local town, but they ought to have a program, and I was explaining it to them. They're kind of excited about it, actually. So yeah, it's a great program. Thanks for coming out and spending time here today.
Yeah. Thank you, Lauren. I appreciate it.
You bet.
I'm here with John Plowman. John is the director for the Hunters Sharing the Harvest, the statewide program for Pennsylvania, and John has a lot of other things on his resume. Just give us briefly what you've done in the hunting community, sportsman's community over the last 30 years.
Well, a lot of things. I worked to always support hunters and conservation and wildlife management my whole career, from outdoor riding to working with the Game Commission and with the state legislature. And I guess one of the high achievements of my career so far is the fact that I was on the ground floor of starting Hunters Sharing the Harvest in 1991. And who would have known what that tiny little program would be that led to where it is today? Because it was started on a shoestring just from a coalition of sportsmen, farmers, and other wildlife managers, biologists, veterinarians, to see what could we do to connect hunters with a compassionate program that they could help those less fortunate in their community. Mm-hmm. That was in 1991, at the dawn of time for all these kind of programs. Today, Hunters Sharing the Harvest is the largest program in the country, and we have literally gone from just almost being a pilot project to the one that everybody else wants to copy. 39 states have venison sharing programs of one form or another, but none of them are at the scale that ours is, nor does it have the kind of public interaction with it, and all the food banks and the sponsors and the people that support this program, whether they hunt or they don't hunt, because everybody wants to help feed the hungry. And with the economy, the way it changed in the last couple of years, our program was always greatly accepted and needed. Then all of a sudden, a whole lot of people that used to actually donate deer needed that deer themselves, or they needed food assistance. today there's over 1.3 million people in Pennsylvania alone that are on food assistance and need help, many of them from the meat that our program does provide.
So one of the biggest things that you do in the Hunters Sharing the Harvest program is you connect sportsmen, hunters with the processing plants like the Butcher Block here, and connect them to the food banks, the network of food banks all across Pennsylvania.
Exactly. I now am the chief cook and bottle washer, and that includes fundraising from sponsors and clubs and businesses to help pay for processing. But I need to go out there and constantly recruit more deer processors that'll want to be part of our butchering team all across the state. We have about 125 butchers now throughout Pennsylvania. They're not in every county, but we've made major headway this year that we've got almost 10 new butchers in areas where we were not represented well, and I'm really happy about that. In your district, we have 3 excellent butchers in both Franklin and Adams County that does a great job. And they're high volume, and they send a lot of deer meat, channeling it to the area food banks in both counties.
So for us locally, we have the Butcher Block here in Biglerville, Adams County. Who else?
Well, you have Steitley's in Franklin County and Straits in Franklin County.
Steitley's and Straits.
Yeah, and they're both in Franklin. And then right on the county line is Gary's meats down in Hanover, but they're actually in York County, but they do interact with Lauren here as far as helping with Adams County Food Bank venison channeling.
Okay. What do you have here for us?
Well, I just want to mention, I think the public should know that our program has been refined over all these years, so it's more accountable and transparent. And I just wish everything in life or business would work like that, because I can now track the deer from where it is in the woods by the hunter who drops it there and field dresses it to the food bank that serves it up, or the food pantry and so forth. Mm-hmm. Because we can convey the fact that the hunter can trust that his deer that he donates will absolutely wind up where he wants it to go, and that is to help feed hungry Pennsylvanians. And we have a number of ways of doing that. We have a form here called the Processor Reimbursement Form, and he sends this in once a year at the end of the season. And on this form, he will indicate the total number of pounds donated through his butcher shop, the number of whole deer from private hunters, number of whole deer from DMAP program run by the Game Commission and DCNR, deer from other sources, which would be mistake kills that we now have a partnership with the Game Commission on to take those deer in. Before, they didn't all go to a good purpose. Now, if a hunter does make a mistake kill, he settles up with the Game Commission, and that deer can go into our venison channeling pipeline. And again, it's more meat for the program. The butchers send this form in. I have to reimburse them for all their costs of doing the deer up. That's where all the fundraising comes in, which is a year-round enterprise for me, all the time. Yeah. Because our budget now, just to handle processing, is $140,000 a year. That's to pay all these butchers, because they do need to be compensated. They have employees and a lot of business overhead to do deer that goes into the venison pipeline.
So if someone wanted to help Hunters Sharing the Harvest, where would they go, and how would they go about making a donation?
Well, we made it real easy. We have a new website now, www.sharedeer.org, and on the website you can contribute toward processing costs by making a PayPal payment through the website, send in a check. All the information is on the website as far as how to connect with our program. Whether you hunt or you don't, you can support the program.
Right.
And that is probably the biggest challenge, is to continually raise enough funds to make sure all the butchers are paid on time and in full by March 1st following the deer season. And so far we've done pretty good, because with all the butchers we have and the fact that we're recruiting so many more, each one I get, though, that joins the team, he's going to need paid, meaning I have to raise even more money to make sure there's something in the budget to cover his costs. Yep. But without the butchers, we have no program, because all this venison has to be processed, cleaned up, ground up, packed up, and then the food banks come and get it. There's 21 regional food banks in Pennsylvania, and under those administrative regions, they probably have 4,000 to 5,000 local providers that are actually doing the distributing of the meat to the needy families or to the soup kitchens, the pantries, women's shelters, and so forth. And that is from Erie to Philly, from Scranton all the way to Pittsburgh, and all around, throughout the state. And my phone rings off the hook every day from people asking, how can we get some of this venison into our food bank? Because they heard about it, they read about it, we get the best press coverage you could ask for. And I mean, the media couldn't be more supportive of our program because they know we're doing something that nobody else does. The food banks don't get a lot of red meat, but our venison is probably the highest value product that they could get, and of course it's high quality.
High quality protein. Yep.
Look at the protein in it.
Yeah, good stuff.
And there's a lot of competition for the meat. We have a lot of deer in Pennsylvania, but it's up to the hunter to make sure that he gets an extra deer and he can spare the meat from it that he would want to donate it into the program. Okay. But if he does do that, the hunter does know that it's all accounted for. This is our hunter donor receipt. Okay. Every deer that goes into the pipeline, whether it's 8,000 deer or more in this state, there's a piece of paper attached to that deer that tells me who the hunter is, his license number, his address, phone number, and all that. The hunter gets a copy of this donation receipt, so he knows that the deer has been recorded at that butcher shop he took it to, and he has paid the $15 deposit, which is tax deductible to him. And then I get a copy of this back, and at the end of the season, when I get all the information about this particular deer and all the other ones, then I'm able to send a thank you letter to every donor, whether it's a money donation or it's a deer donation. And we now have a decal that we provide to every donor, and they really like having this on the back of their truck.
Yep, to show that they supported the program.
Well, actually, the decal idea got so exciting that they started to say, well, you need to make this a series. So now I got to put the year on here in the season. The first decal was fine, but now that we want one every year because we're going to donate every year, they want to have a whole row of them on their window.
Wonderful. They're proud to help out
at their camp and so forth. But on the website is basic information like this, and there's coupons that the public can send in with a check if they want to help support the program and help us make sure the butchers are taken care of. We have a toll-free number, 866-474-2141. The new website, sharedeer.org. My address, all my phone numbers are on everything we have. So we have these flyers at butcher shops, sporting goods stores, Gander Mountain, Bass Pro Shops, you name it, everybody's with us. And we, on the back of this, are all of our wonderful sponsors, and I might add, including members of the Senate and House of Representatives and the Legislative Sportsmen's Caucus, who couldn't be more supportive of this program. But we have now 70 business and organizational sponsors, and more all the time are coming in to support this thing. They know that this is one way that they can connect sportsmen and sportswomen with doing something in their communities that nobody ever thought of before, and they never had any other way of doing it. So they do it through donating their deer. They can enjoy the hunt for that extra deer. They can be outdoors. They get an extra deer, then they bring it to a butcher shop like Lauren's, turn it in, and they've done something. And that gives sportsmen a pretty good reputation, because the animal rights activists and the anti-hunters, how are they going to take a shot at hunters sharing the harvest and the people that support it? And it is the hunters program. It's not the government, not the states.
Right. I think that's important.
This program is the hunters program.
Right. This is not a state sponsored or government program. This is a non-profit organization that started out, and they do run off of donations. And I think it's something extremely important to reiterate, is the fact that even if you don't hunt, you can support this program. If you support stopping hunger and supporting food banks, by giving a donation to this program is a big help to the entire food bank process.
Absolutely.
So you don't have to hunt to be able to participate in this.
We get financial support from food banks themselves and churches and non-hunting interests. Businesses that have nothing to do with hunting, but they love the program because it's so unique. And I'm very proud of that. I'm just a caretaker of it, but I'm pretty proud that from starting on a shoestring 20 years ago, we're the biggest in the country, and 7 other states contacted me over the last couple of years and asked me to go and set their programs up. And I'm glad to do that because our model works so well. The deer are all accounted for, and the public has trust and confidence in the system that the meat flow will end up right where it's supposed to.
Yep.
And it couldn't work better.
Wonderful. Well, John, thank you for everything you've done on
It's
behalf
my
of hunters.
pleasure. And thank you for your support,
Thank
too,
you very
Senator.
much. Okay, thank you. Well, folks, thank you for joining us on this little venture with Hunters Sharing the Harvest. I think this is an extremely important program. As chairman of the Fish and Game Committee in the Senate, it's something that I've strongly supported from the day that I got here. Also, I'm a big supporter of helping to fight hunger. You know, in America today, certainly there are a lot of issues and concerns that we have in our country, but hunger just shouldn't be one of them. People should not have to go to bed hungry in America. We're a wealthy country, we're an industrial country, we know how to take care of things, and we should take care of our people to make sure they have food. In fact, Senator Brubaker from Lancaster County just recently started the Pennsylvania Hunger Caucus, of which I was glad to be a part of immediately, and it actually tries to go out and raise awareness of hunger in Pennsylvania and help support programs that can fight hunger. And this Hunters Sharing the Harvest is just a tremendous program within that Hunger Caucus, and people can support it, again, whether you're a sportsman or whether you just want to support hunger initiatives and you care about that issue. You can go to sharedeer.com. You can go to my website, senatoralloway.com. We have links to that as well, and we'd love to have your support. And thank you again for tuning in to this important event.